Lawrence Gordon's muscles tense as the Maeran guards shove him toward the awaiting transport ship. His captors' faces contort with smug satisfaction, believing they're about to rid themselves of the troublesome human explorer. Little do they know, their actions will lead to their own downfall and humanity's triumph. The Maeran High Council has grown increasingly paranoid about humanity's rapid expansion across the galaxy. In their arrogance, they've devised a plan to eliminate Lawrence and send a warning to Earth. As the transport ship's engines roar to life, Lawrence finds himself hurtling towards Xyocks, a planet notorious for its lethal environment. The ship touches down on Xyocks' barren surface. Lawrence steps out, immediately assaulted by the planet's toxic atmosphere. He activates his protective suit, the only barrier between him and certain death. The Maeran guards sneer as they toss him a meager survival kit before departing, leaving him alone in this hostile world. Lawrence surveys his surroundings. Jagged rock formations stretch as far as the eye can see, their surfaces coated with a sickly green sheen. The sky above churns with angry storm clouds, flashes of lightning illuminating the desolate landscape. He checks his suit's sensors, noting the extreme temperature fluctuations and poisonous air composition. As night falls, Lawrence sets up a makeshift shelter using the limited supplies provided. He knows he must conserve energy and resources if he hopes to survive. The sounds of alien predators echo in the distance, sending chills down his spine. He grips his plasma cutter tightly, ready to defend himself against whatever horrors this planet might unleash. Days pass, and Lawrence adapts to Xyocks' unforgiving environment. He learns to identify which alien flora are edible and which will kill him instantly. He develops techniques to collect and purify the planet's scarce water sources. His human ingenuity proves invaluable as he overcomes each new challenge. One day, while scouting for resources, Lawrence spots a figure in the distance. As he approaches cautiously, he realizes it's a Maeran, but unlike any he's seen before. This Maeran is stunningly beautiful, with iridescent skin and eyes that seem to hold the secrets of the universe. She introduces herself as Ava, an outcast exiled to Xyocks for defying the High Council. Initial distrust gives way to a fragile alliance as Lawrence and Ava recognize their mutual need for survival. Together, they construct a more permanent shelter, combining Lawrence's practical skills with Ava's knowledge of advanced Maeran technology. They take turns standing watch against Xyocks' deadly fauna, forming a bond forged in the crucible of adversity. As they work side by side, Lawrence finds himself drawn to Ava's grace and intelligence. He learns of her exile, a punishment for questioning the Council's oppressive policies. In turn, Ava becomes fascinated by Lawrence's resilience and adaptability, traits her own people lack. During their time together, Ava reveals crucial information about Maeran weaknesses and technology. Lawrence realizes the potential impact this knowledge could have on humanity's future dealings with the Maearians. He begins to formulate a daring plan, not just to survive, but to escape Xyocks with Ava by his side. Their opportunity arrives when they discover an abandoned Maeran outpost hidden within a network of caves. Inside, they find a damaged spacecraft, a relic of a long-forgotten expedition. Lawrence's eyes light up with determination. This could be their ticket off Xyocks. For weeks, Lawrence and Ava labor tirelessly to repair the ship. They scavenge parts from the outpost, jury-rig systems, and overcome countless setbacks. Each day brings new challenges, power failures, structural integrity issues, dwindling supplies. Yet they persist, their shared goal driving them forward. Just as they near completion of the repairs, disaster strikes. A Maeran patrol ship enters Xyocks' atmosphere, likely sent to check on the status of their exile. Lawrence and Ava exchange a look of grim determination. They must launch now or face certain death at the hands of the Maeran enforcers. With alarms blaring and the patrol ship closing in, Lawrence and Ava race to finish the final preparations. The repaired ship groans and shudders as its ancient systems come to life. As the Maeran patrol lands nearby, Lawrence and Ava strap themselves in, ready to risk everything for a chance at freedom, and a future that neither of them could have imagined when they first set foot on this hellish world. The ancient engines roar to life, vibrating through the dilapidated hull of the spacecraft. Lawrence's hands fly across the control panel, his eyes darting between readouts as he initiates the launch sequence. Beside him, Ava's iridescent skin shimmers with tension as she monitors the approaching Maeran patrol ship. "We're not going to make it," Ava says, her voice tight with worry. "The power levels are dropping too quickly." Lawrence grits his teeth, refusing to give up. "There has to be a way." Suddenly, the ship's systems flicker and die. The engines sputter and fall silent, plunging them into darkness. For a moment, only their ragged breathing fills the cockpit. "The power core," Ava whispers, her eyes wide with realization. "It's completely drained." Lawrence activates his suit's emergency light, illuminating their grim expressions. "Can we fix it?" Ava shakes her head. "Not without a specific mineral. It's rare, found only in the deepest caverns of Xyocks." They exchange a look of perseverance. There's no need for words. They both know what must be done. Grabbing their gear, they exit the ship and plunge into the labyrinthine cave system beneath the planet's surface. The tunnels twist and turn, a maze of jagged rock formations illuminated by the eerie glow of bioluminescent fungi. Lawrence leads the way, his plasma cutter at the ready. Ava follows close behind, her knowledge of Xyocks' ecosystem proving invaluable as they navigate the treacherous terrain. "Watch out!" Ava pulls Lawrence back just as a geyser of noxious gas erupts from a fissure in the ground. The acrid smell seeps through their protective suits, making their eyes water. "Thanks," Lawrence gasps, catching his breath. "That was close." They press on, their path growing increasingly hazardous. Unstable rock formations crumble at the slightest touch, forcing them to move with painstaking care. In the distance, they hear the screech of unseen creatures, the sound echoing ominously through the caverns. As they descend deeper into the planet's core, the air grows thick and oppressive. Lawrence checks his suit's oxygen levels, acutely aware of their dwindling resources. "How much further?" he asks, his voice strained. Ava consults a holographic map projected from her wrist device. "We're close. The mineral deposits should be just ahead." They round a corner and find themselves in a vast underground chamber. Crystalline structures jut from the walls, casting prismatic reflections across the cavern floor. At the center lies a pool of bubbling, iridescent liquid. "There," Ava points. "The mineral we need is suspended in that liquid." As they approach the pool, a low rumble shakes the ground. From the depths of the liquid emerges a massive serpentine creature. Its scales shimmer with the same iridescence as the pool, and rows of razor-sharp teeth line its gaping maw. Lawrence and Ava freeze, their hearts pounding. The creature's eyes, glowing orbs of bioluminescence, fix upon them with predatory intent. "Any ideas?" Lawrence whispers, his hand tightening on his plasma cutter. Ava's mind races. "Its eyes," she says. "They're adapted for the darkness. If we can create a bright enough light..." Lawrence nods, understanding immediately. He adjusts his plasma cutter to its highest setting. "Get ready to grab the mineral. I'll distract it." With a deep breath, Lawrence charges forward, firing his plasma cutter in rapid bursts. The intense light causes the creature to recoil, thrashing in confusion. Ava seizes the opportunity, darting to the edge of the pool and scooping up a handful of the mineral-rich liquid. "Got it!" she shouts. "Let's go!" They sprint back the way they came, the enraged roars of the creature echoing behind them. Adrenaline fuels their mad dash through the tunnels, every second bringing them closer to their ship and to the approaching Maeran patrol. They burst from the cave entrance, gasping for air. The Maeran ship looms on the horizon, its landing lights cutting through Xyocks' perpetual gloom. Without a word, Lawrence and Ava race to their ship. Ava immediately sets to work, her fingers flying as she integrates the mineral into the power core. Lawrence mans the controls, his eyes fixed on the rapidly approaching Maeran vessel. Come on," he mutters, willing the systems to come online. With a surge of energy, the ship's engines roar to life. Lawrence doesn't hesitate, punching the thrusters to maximum as they lift off. The sudden acceleration slams them back into their seats as the ship rockets skyward. The Maeran patrol ship opens fire, energy bolts sizzling past their hull. Lawrence's piloting skills are put to the test as he weaves through the barrage, pushing their patchwork craft to its limits. Ava calls out readings from the sensor array. We're approaching the atmosphere's edge. Maeran's ship is still in pursuit, but falling behind. Lawrence grits his teeth, making a series of rapid course corrections. The ship shudders violently as they break free of Xyocks' gravitational pull, but holds together. Behind them, the Maeran vessel grows smaller, unable to match their speed. As the adrenaline of their escape begins to fade, Lawrence and Ava share a look of disbelief. They've done it. They're free. Lawrence sets a course for Earth, keenly aware of the challenges that lie ahead. As the stars streak by outside the view screen, he turns to Ava, taking in her alien beauty and the depth of emotion in her eyes. "What now?" she asks softly. Lawrence reaches out, taking her hand in his. "Now," he says, "we face whatever comes next. Together." The ship hurtles through the vastness of space, carrying its unlikely pair of survivors towards an uncertain future. Earth awaits, along with all the complexities of introducing Ava to human society and leveraging her knowledge to change the balance of power in the galaxy. As Lawrence contemplates the implications of their return, he knows one thing for certain: nothing will ever be the same again. As Lawrence contemplates the implications of their return, he knows one thing for certain: nothing will ever be the same. He turns his attention back to the ship's controls, plotting a course through the vast expanse of space. Ava leans over his shoulder, her iridescent skin catching the light of distant stars. "How long until we reach Earth?" she asks, her voice tinged with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Lawrence checks the navigation system. "If all goes well, we should—" His words are cut short by a sudden violent jolt. The ship's alarms blare as they hurtle into a massive field of asteroids, the debris pummeling their hull with frightening force. "Hold on!" Lawrence shouts, his hands flying across the control panel. He weaves the ship through the asteroid field, narrowly avoiding collision after collision. Ava clings to her seat, her eyes wide with fear. A deafening crash reverberates through the ship as a large asteroid strikes their port side. The navigation system flickers and dies, leaving them flying blind through the cosmic minefield. "We've lost navigation," Ava reports, her voice steady despite the chaos. "The system's completely fried." Lawrence grits his teeth, scanning the view screen for any sign of safety. Through the tumbling rocks, he spots a planet looming in the distance. "There," he says, pointing. "It's our only chance." With their ship barely holding together, Lawrence guides them towards the planet. The hull groans under the stress of atmospheric entry, the heat of friction painting the view screen with a fiery glow. They break through the cloud cover, revealing a landscape of lush alien jungle, stretching as far as the eye can see. Lawrence wrestles with the controls, aiming for a clearing amidst the dense vegetation. The ship hits the ground hard, skidding across the alien soil before coming to a shuddering stop. For a moment, all is silent save for the hiss of cooling metal and the faint chirping of unfamiliar creatures. Lawrence and Ava exchange a look of relief before unstrapping themselves. They don their protective suits as a precaution and exit the ship, stepping onto the soil of this unknown world. "The air," Ava says, her voice filled with wonder. She checks her suit's sensors. "It's breathable, and the gravity, it's almost identical to Earth's." Lawrence nods, taking in their surroundings. The jungle teems with life, its flora a riot of colors unseen in any Earth ecosystem. Strange, bird-like creatures soar overhead, their calls echoing through the alien forest. "We can't take off again in this condition," Lawrence says, examining the extensive damage to their ship. "We need to find materials for repairs." Ava nods in agreement. "We should explore, see what resources this planet has to offer." They gather what supplies they can salvage from the ship and set out into the jungle. The vegetation is dense, forcing them to cut a path with Lawrence's plasma cutter. As they push deeper into the alien wilderness, they come across something unexpected: the crumbling remnants of what was once a magnificent structure. "These are ruins," Ava whispers, running her hand along a weathered stone surface covered in unfamiliar glyphs. "But they're not Maeran or human." Lawrence's eyes widen as he takes in the scale of the ruins. "A third species," he says, his mind racing with the implications. one we've never encountered before. They cautiously enter the ancient structure, their path illuminated by shafts of light piercing through gaps in the ceiling. The air is thick with the weight of forgotten history. In a chamber deep within the ruins, they find a device unlike anything they've seen before. It's a sleek metallic object with a pulsing blue light at its core. When Ava approaches it, the device hums to life. "It's some kind of universal translator," she says, her voice filled with awe. "This could help us communicate more effectively." As they activate the device, a flood of understanding washes over them. The nuances of their respective languages become clear, allowing for a depth of communication they hadn't previously experienced. Their exploration is cut short by a rustling in the underbrush outside the ruins. Lawrence and Ava freeze, instinctively seeking cover behind a fallen column. From their hiding spot, they watch as a group of primitive humanoid aliens emerges from the jungle. These beings are tall and lean, with mottled green skin that blends seamlessly with the surrounding foliage. They carry crude spears and move with predatory grace. "Natives," Lawrence whispers, his hand moving to his plasma cutter. "And they don't look friendly." Ava nods, her body tense and ready for action. "We need to find a way back to the ship without being seen." But their luck has run out. One of the aliens turns its head, its large, compound eyes locking onto their position. With a guttural cry, it alerts its companions. The aliens charge, their spears raised and ready to strike. Lawrence springs into action, his combat training kicking in as he parries the first attack with his plasma cutter. Ava ducks and weaves, her agility allowing her to avoid the aliens' slower, more powerful strikes. Back to back, Lawrence and Ava fend off the assault. Lawrence's plasma cutter hums as it deflects spear thrusts, while Ava uses her smaller size to her advantage, darting between attackers and throwing them off balance. "We can't keep this up forever," Lawrence grunts, narrowly avoiding a spear to the chest. "We need a plan." Ava's eyes dart around the chamber, looking for an escape route. "There," she says, nodding towards a narrow passage. "If we can make it there, we might be able to lose them in the ruins." With a coordinated effort, they push through the group of aliens, making a break for the passage. Lawrence takes the lead, using his larger frame to clear a path, while Ava covers their retreat. As they disappear into the depths of the ruins, the aliens' war cries echo behind them. Lawrence and Ava run through twisting corridors, their hearts pounding in their ears. They emerge from the ruins into the dense jungle, the sounds of pursuit growing fainter. "We need to find somewhere safe," Lawrence says between breaths. "Somewhere we can fortify and plan our next move." Ava nods, her eyes scanning the alien landscape. "And we need to name this planet," she adds, a hint of a smile on her face despite their dire situation. Lawrence can't help but chuckle. "How about Terra Nova?" he suggests. "New Earth." As they push deeper into the jungle of Terra Nova, Lawrence and Ava know that their adventure is just getting started. With a damaged ship, hostile natives, and the mysteries of an ancient alien civilization surrounding them, survival will require all of their combined skills and ingenuity. The jungle canopy above them rustles with unseen creatures, and in the distance they hear the continued calls of their pursuers. Lawrence and Ava exchange a determined look before pressing on, ready to face whatever challenges this new world has in store for them. The dense foliage parts as they push forward, revealing a clearing bathed in the soft glow of Terra Nova's alien sun. Lawrence and Ava pause, catching their breath and taking stock of their surroundings. "We should be safe here for now," Lawrence says, scanning the tree line for any sign of their pursuers. "Let's set up a temporary camp and assess our situation." As they begin to unpack their meager supplies, a rustling in the nearby bushes puts them on high alert. Lawrence raises his plasma cutter, ready to defend against another attack. Instead, a small group of Novarites emerges, led by a tall, lithe female with intricate patterns swirling across her green skin. "Wait," Ava says, placing a hand on Lawrence's arm. "They don't seem hostile." The female Novarite steps forward, her large compound eyes fixed on the pair. To their surprise, she speaks, her words translated by the device they found in the ruins. "I am Zara," she says, her voice melodious, yet tinged with caution. "We have been watching you. You are not like the others who have come to our world." Lawrence lowers his weapon but remains wary. We're not here to harm you or your people. We crash-landed and are trying to repair our ship to leave. Zara tilts her head, considering his words. Perhaps we can help each other. Our elders speak of a time when our people traveled among the stars. The ruins you explored may hold the key to reclaiming that knowledge. Over the next few days, an uneasy alliance forms between the human Mazarian duo and the Novarites. Zara and her people provide invaluable assistance in gathering materials to repair the ship, while Lawrence and Ava share their knowledge of space travel and technology. As they work together, Lawrence can't help but notice the growing tension between Ava and Zara. The two females often clash over decisions, their different perspectives leading to heated arguments. Ava's possessiveness becomes increasingly apparent, her eyes narrowing whenever Zara and Lawrence interact. Realizing the fragility of their situation, Lawrence decides to address the issue head-on. He arranges a meeting with Ava and the Novarite leaders, hoping to clear the air and solidify their alliance. The gathering takes place in a natural amphitheater, formed by the massive roots of Terra Nova's towering trees. Lawrence stands before the assembled group, his voice steady as he speaks. We've made great progress together, but I sense there's still unease among us. I want to reaffirm our commitment to working with you, the Novarites, while also making it clear that Ava and I have a bond that goes beyond this planet. Ava's expression softens at his words, while Zara nods in understanding. Lawrence continues, Our goal is to return to Earth, but we recognize the importance of the knowledge we've gained here. We hope to maintain a connection with your people and... His words are cut short as the ground beneath him begins to tremble. The vibrations quickly intensify, sending everyone scrambling for stable footing. Trees sway dangerously, their massive trunks groaning under the strain. Everyone, take cover! Lawrence shouts, pulling Ava close as they duck beneath an overhanging root. As the shaking subsides, they emerge to find the landscape altered. Fissures have opened in the earth, and several trees have toppled, creating a chaotic scene of destruction. Zara approaches, her usual grace marred by a slight limp. This is not natural, she says, her voice filled with concern. Our world has never experienced such turmoil. Lawrence and Ava exchange a worried glance. We need to investigate, Ava says. These tremors could be related to the alien technology we've been using. They quickly organize search parties, spreading out to assess the damage and look for any unusual energy signatures. Lawrence leads a team to the ruins where they first discovered the ancient technology, while Ava and Zara begrudgingly work together to analyze the ship's systems for any potential interference. Hours later, they reconvene with grim expressions. Lawrence delivers the news. The energy emissions from the alien tech are destabilizing the planet's core. If we don't stop it, Terra Nova will tear itself apart. The revelation sends shockwaves through the group. Zara's people look to her for guidance, fear evident in their large eyes. We need to leave, Ava says, her voice tight with urgency. We have to accelerate our repair efforts and get off this planet before it's too late. Zara steps forward, her posture proud despite the dire circumstances. We will help you. Our survival depends on it now. With renewed purpose, they throw themselves into the task of repairing the ship. Lawrence coordinates the effort, assigning teams to work around the clock. The Novarites prove to be quick learners, their natural agility and strength a boon to the physical labor required. As they work, Lawrence has a breakthrough. If we combine some of the Mazarian tech from our ship with the ancient alien components, we might be able to boost our power and capacity, he explains to Ava and Zara. The two females, setting aside their differences in the face of crisis, nod in agreement. It's risky, Ava says, but it might be our only chance. Their progress is suddenly interrupted by the sound of battle cries. A group of Novarites, their bodies painted with aggressive red markings, charges into the camp. They're armed with a mix of primitive spears and scavenged technology, their intent clearly hostile. Protect the ship, Lawrence shouts, grabbing his plasma cutter and moving to intercept the attackers. The camp erupts into chaos as Lawrence leads the defense. His combat training kicks in as he parries blows and returns fire, careful to use non-lethal force against the misguided Novarites. Ava and Zara work in tandem, their earlier animosity forgotten as they safeguard the vital ship components. The skirmish is brief but intense. As the last of the attackers retreat into the jungle, Lawrence surveys the damage. Minor injuries among their group, but nothing life-threatening. The ship, thankfully, remains intact. Zara approaches, her skin flushed from the exertion of battle. They were from a rival faction, she explains. They believe the ancient technology should remain buried. Lawrence nods grimly. We need to step up our security, and we need to work faster. As if to emphasize his point, another tremor shakes the ground, more violent than the last. In the distance, they see a plume of ash and smoke rising above the tree line. A volcano, Ava says, her voice barely above a whisper. The planet's geology is becoming more unstable by the hour. Lawrence looks at the frightened faces around him, human, Maeran, and Novarite alike. He knows he must make a difficult decision, one that will change the course of their lives forever. We can't leave all of you behind, he says, addressing the Novarites. We'll evacuate as many as we can fit on the ship. It's not ideal, but it's the right thing to do. Ava pulls him aside, her eyes wide with concern. Lawrence, think about what you're saying. Bringing them to Earth could cause unimaginable complications. He meets her gaze, his grit unwavering. We can't abandon them, Ava. And think of the potential benefits. A new perspective on interspecies relations. A possible alliance against the Maeran High Council. After a moment, Ava nods, accepting his decision. They return to the group where Zara has already begun organizing her people. We'll need to select a small group, Lawrence explains. Those with knowledge of your history and technology would be most beneficial. As the selection process begins, Lawrence turns his attention back to the ship. The integration of the ancient alien tech is delicate work, requiring precision and insight. He loses himself in the task, acutely aware that every second counts. The next few days pass in a blur of activity. The ground shakes more frequently, and the volcano in the distance grows more active. Lawrence pushes himself to the limit, coordinating repairs, managing the growing tensions among the evacuees, and fine-tuning the ship's new systems. Finally, as fissures begin to open dangerously close to their camp, Lawrence declares the ship ready for launch. The chosen Novarites, along with Zara, board the vessel with a mix of fear and excitement. As they initiate the launch sequence, a violent earthquake strikes. Alarms blare as systems begin to fail, the tremors interfering with the delicate launch procedures. The launch platform is destabilizing, Ava shouts over the din. We need to manually override the systems. Lawrence makes a split-second decision. Get everyone on board, he orders. I'll stay behind and override the launch. Before Ava can protest, he's sprinting towards the control panel. His fingers fly over the interface, bypassing safety protocols and rerouting power. The ship's engines roar to life, but the platform beneath it begins to crumble. Suddenly, Ava is at his side. I'm not leaving without you, she says, her eyes blazing with purpose. Together, they make the final adjustments. The ship rises just as the ground gives way beneath them. With a desperate leap, they grab onto the landing gear, pulling themselves into the still-open cargo bay, as the platform collapses into a fiery chasm below. The ship clears the atmosphere, leaving the disintegrating surface of Terra Nova behind. In the confined space of the vessel, Lawrence looks around at the diverse group of survivors, Ava, Zara, and the Novarite refugees. He knows that the journey ahead will be challenging, fraught with the complexities of their unique situation. As they set a course for Earth, Lawrence begins to formulate a plan. They'll need to approach Earth's leaders carefully, presenting their case in a way that ensures protection for Ava and the Novarites, while leveraging their combined knowledge to strengthen humanity's position in the galaxy. The stars streak by outside the view screen, each one bringing them closer to an uncertain reception on Earth. Lawrence feels the weight of responsibility on his shoulders, knowing that their arrival will forever change the balance of power in the galaxy. But as he looks at Ava and their new allies, he knows that together they have a chance to forge a new future, one of cooperation and understanding between species. The ship hurtles through space, carrying its unique crew towards Earth and the challenges that await them. Lawrence takes a deep breath, steeling himself for the trials to come. The true test of their alliance and his leadership lies ahead, and he's determined to face it head-on. determined to navigate the challenges that lay ahead. As they approached Earth's orbit, Lawrence's hands flew over the control panel, making final adjustments to their trajectory. Ava stood beside him, her large eyes fixed on the display, while Zara and the Novarites huddled near the back, a mix of anticipation and nervousness evident in their postures. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. A massive vessel materialized before them, dwarfing their own craft. "Maeran warship!" Ava gasped, her voice tight with fear. The comm system crackled to life, and a deep, authoritative voice filled the cabin. "Unidentified vessel. This is Admiral Zortax of the Maeran High Council. You are ordered to surrender immediately." Lawrence's mind raced. He glanced at Ava, then at the group of Novarites. They couldn't risk capture, not with everything they'd discovered, not with the lives at stake. "Ava, the cloaking device," he said urgently. "Can we use it?" She nodded, already moving to the auxiliary control panel. "The combination of Maeran and Terra Nova tech should give us an edge, but I don't know for how long." Lawrence addressed the group. "Everyone, brace yourselves. This might get rough." With a series of rapid inputs, Ava activated the enhanced cloaking technology. The ship shimmered, then seemed to vanish from view. On the screen, they watched as the Maeran warship's weapons powered down, its sensors clearly confused by their sudden disappearance. "It worked," Zara whispered, her antennae twitching with excitement. But Lawrence knew they weren't out of danger yet. "We need to find somewhere to regroup," he said, scanning their star charts. His eyes fell on a red dot near Earth. "Mars. There's a secret human outpost there." Ava looked at him sharply. "Are you sure that's wise? We don't know how they'll react to us." "We don't have a choice," Lawrence replied, already plotting the course. "It's our best chance to avoid the Maearians and figure out our next move." The journey to Mars was tense, with everyone acutely aware that their cloaking could fail at any moment. As they entered Mars's atmosphere, Lawrence spotted the hidden entrance to the outpost, cleverly disguised amidst the rocky terrain. Upon landing, they were immediately surrounded by armed humans in environmental suits. A stern-faced woman stepped forward, her insignia marking her as the commanding officer. "I'm Colonel Sarah Hayes," she announced, her voice hard. "You have exactly 1 minute to explain why we shouldn't blast you out of existence." Lawrence raised his hand slowly. "I'm Lieutenant Lawrence Chen, Earth Defense Force. We've got critical information about the Maearians and potential allies against them." He gestured to Ava and the Novarites. "Please, just hear us out." Hayes's eyes narrowed behind her helmet visor, but she nodded curtly. "Inside. Now." The next few hours were a whirlwind of explanations, debriefings, and tense negotiations. Lawrence laid out everything: their crash on Terra Nova, the discovery of the ancient technology, and the potential alliance with the Novarites. Ava provided crucial insights into Maearian weaknesses, while Zara demonstrated her people's unique abilities. Despite the potential benefits, Hayes remained skeptical. "This is a lot to take in, Chen. You're asking us to trust aliens we've never encountered before, based on your word alone." "I understand your concerns," Lawrence replied. "But think about what this could mean for humanity. With the Novarites' help and the technology we've acquired, we might finally have a chance against the Maearian threat." As the Mars colonists deliberated, Lawrence found himself in the outpost's hydroponics bay with Ava. Lush Earth plants grew in carefully controlled environments, a stark contrast to the red Martian landscape visible through the reinforced windows. Ava moved closer to him, her hand finding his. "Whatever happens, Lawrence, I'm with you," she said softly. He turned to her, struck once again by her alien beauty and the depth of emotion in her eyes. Without a word, he pulled her close, their lips meeting in a passionate kiss. For a moment, the weight of their responsibilities melted away, leaving only their connection, a bridge between two species. Their intimate moment was interrupted by Zara's arrival. If she noticed their embrace, she gave no indication. "The Novarites are adapting well to the Martian environment," she reported. "Our physiology seems well suited to the lower gravity." Lawrence nodded, an idea forming. "That could be a significant advantage. Let's show Colonel Hayes what your people can do." A demonstration was arranged, with the Novarites showcasing their agility and strength in Mars's reduced gravity. The human colonists watched in awe as Zara and her companions performed feats that would be impossible for humans without extensive training and equipment. Impressed but still cautious, Hayes approached Lawrence. "All right, Chen, we'll help you, but on one condition. You and your allies will assist in upgrading our defenses. If the Mazarians find us, we need to be prepared." Lawrence agreed readily, and soon the outpost was a hive of activity. Human engineers worked alongside Novarites, integrating the advanced technology from their ship into the outpost systems. Ava's knowledge of Mazarian tech proved invaluable, allowing them to create countermeasures for potential attacks. As they worked, long-range sensors suddenly lit up with multiple contacts. Lawrence rushed to the command center, his heart sinking as he saw the unmistakable signatures of Mazarian warships approaching Mars. "They've found us," he said grimly, turning to Hayes. "Colonel, we need to activate the new defenses now." Hayes nodded, her face set with persistence. "All personnel, battle stations! This is not a drill." As alarms blared throughout the outpost, Lawrence knew that their actions had brought the war to Mars. The next few hours would determine not just their fate, but potentially the future of Earth-Mazarian relations. With Ava at his side and their unlikely alliance of humans and Novarites, he prepared to face the coming storm. Storm as the Mazarian warships descended upon Mars. The outpost shook violently as the first salvo of enemy fire struck the newly enhanced shields. Lawrence gripped the command console, his eyes darting between tactical displays. "Shields holding at 82%, Ava reported, her fingers flying over the controls. "The Mazarian tech we integrated is giving us an edge, but it won't last forever." Colonel Hayes barked orders to her personnel, coordinating the defense with practiced efficiency. "Launch countermeasures. Target their lead ship's propulsion systems." As the battle raged, Lawrence's mind raced. They were outgunned and outnumbered, and even with their upgraded defenses, it was only a matter of time before the Mazarians broke through. They needed a way to end this conflict decisively. "We can't win this through defense alone," he said, turning to Ava and Hayes. "We need to strike at the heart of the Mazarian High Council itself." Hayes looked at him incredulously. "You want to attack the Mazarian homeworld? That's suicide." "Not an attack," Lawrence clarified. "An infiltration. If we can expose the High Council's lies to their own people, we might be able to force a diplomatic resolution." Ava's eyes widened. "It's risky, but it could work. I know their systems, their vulnerabilities." As another blast rocked the outpost, Hayes nodded grimly. "At this point, we've got nothing to lose. What's your plan, Chen?" Over the next few hours, as the battle continued to rage outside, Lawrence, Ava, and a team of human and Novarite engineers worked feverishly to modify their hybrid ship. Using the advanced technology they'd salvaged from Terra Nova, they enhanced its stealth capabilities beyond anything the Mazarians could detect. "We'll need a small team," Lawrence explained as they finalized the preparations. "Myself, Ava, Zara, and you, Colonel, if you're willing." Hayes nodded, her face set with drive. "I wouldn't miss it." As the strike team made their final preparations, Lawrence found himself alone with Ava in their assigned quarters. The reality of the danger they faced hung heavy in the air between them. Ava stepped closer, her large eyes searching his face. "Lawrence," she said softly, "I need you to know, whatever happens." He didn't let her finish. In one fluid motion, he pulled her close, their lips meeting in a passionate kiss. The world fell away as they lost themselves in each other, their bodies intertwining with an urgency born of both desire and the knowledge of what lay ahead. Later, as they lay tangled together, Lawrence traced the pattern of bioluminescent markings along Ava's skin. "We're going to make it through this," he murmured. "Together." She smiled, a mix of affection and dedication in her eyes. "Together," she agreed. As they rejoined the others, Zara approached with news. "We've discovered something that might help," she said, her antennae twitching with excitement. "My people can enter a state of suspended animation. We can hide within the ship's structure, providing an unexpected advantage once we reach the Mazarian homeworld." Lawrence's mind raced with the possibilities. "That's brilliant, Zara. It could be the edge we need." With final preparations complete, the strike team prepared to launch. Outside, the diversionary attack led by the remaining human forces intensified, drawing the Maeran fleet's attention. "Remember," Lawrence addressed the team as they boarded the modified shuttle, "our goal is to reach the High Council's central command and broadcast the truth to the Maeran people. We're not there to fight a war, but to end one." As the shuttle's engines hummed to life, Lawrence took his place at the controls. Beside him, Ava interfaced with the ship's hybrid systems, her mind melding seamlessly with the alien tech. "Cloaking systems online," she reported. "We're as invisible as we're going to get." With a final nod to his team, Lawrence guided the shuttle out of the Mars outpost and into the chaotic space battle above. Using a combination of Ava's piloting skills and the ship's enhanced systems, they wove through the Maeran fleet undetected. As Mars receded behind them, Lawrence set a course for the Maeran homeworld. The true test of their plan and their alliance lay ahead. The fate of Earth, Mars, and countless other worlds hung in the balance as their small ship slipped silently through the vast expanse of space, carrying with it the hopes of multiple species and the potential for a new era of interstellar relations. The journey to the Maeran homeworld was tense, each moment fraught with the possibility of detection. Lawrence and Ava worked in tandem, making constant adjustments to their course and the ship's cloaking systems to avoid the numerous Maeran patrols they encountered. As they approached their destination, a new challenge presented itself: a planetary defense grid that could detect even cloaked ships. Lawrence turned to Ava, knowing her insider knowledge would be crucial. "There's a vulnerability in the grid's scanning frequency," Ava explained, her fingers dancing over the control panel. "If we modulate our cloak to precisely inverse frequencies, we should slip through undetected." Lawrence nodded, trusting her expertise implicitly. "Do it." With painstaking precision, Ava made the necessary adjustments. The ship shuddered slightly as it passed through the defense grid, but no alarm sounded. They had made it. Guided by Ava's knowledge of Maeran geography, Lawrence piloted the ship to a remote area far from the capital city. As they touched down, the team quickly disembarked, their movements practiced and efficient. "We're in," Lawrence announced, surveying the alien landscape. "Now comes the hard part." Using Ava's familiarity with Maeran technology and infrastructure, the team made their way toward the capital, avoiding main thoroughfares and security checkpoints. As they neared the city's outskirts, they encountered an unexpected ally. A Maeran approached them cautiously, his posture indicating he was not hostile. "You're the ones from Earth," he said, his voice low. "I am Krell. We've been waiting for an opportunity like this." Lawrence tensed, ready for a potential trap, but Ava stepped forward. "You're part of the resistance," she said, recognition in her eyes. Krell nodded. "There are many of us who oppose the High Council's warmongering. We want peace, cooperation with other species. We can help you reach the Central Command Center." Lawrence exchanged glances with his team. This could be the break they needed, but it was also a risk. After a moment's deliberation, he made his decision. "All right, Krell, we'll work together. But understand this, our goal is to end this conflict, not start a civil war." Krell agreed and quickly outlined a plan to infiltrate the High Council's stronghold. With the added support of the resistance, the team moved through the city with greater ease, using hidden passages and discreet transportation methods. As they neared the Central Command Center, alarms suddenly blared throughout the city. A familiar voice echoed from public address systems. "Attention all citizens," Admiral Zortax's voice boomed. "Intruders have been detected. The capital is now under lockdown. Report any suspicious activity immediately." "Zortax," Ava hissed. "He must have returned from the Mars assault." Lawrence's mind raced. Their window of opportunity was closing fast. "We need to move now," he ordered. The team sprinted through the streets, no longer able to rely on stealth alone. They encountered several security checkpoints, each more heavily guarded than the last. At one such checkpoint, they found themselves pinned down by Maeran elite forces. Lawrence coordinated their defense, his Earth Defense Force training kicking in. Ava's technical skills allowed her to hack into nearby systems, creating distractions and false alarms. Zara and the hidden Novarites emerged from their suspended state, their unique abilities catching the Maeran forces off guard. As they fought their way closer to the central command center, Lawrence couldn't help but marvel at how well their diverse team worked together. Humans, Maearians, and Novarites, each bringing their own strengths to bear against a common enemy. Finally, they reached the towering structure of the High Council's headquarters. As they prepared to make their final push, Lawrence addressed his team. "This is it," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. "Everything we've fought for comes down to this moment. Let's show the Maearian people the truth and end this war." With renewed purpose, the strike team surged forward, ready to face whatever challenges lay within the High Council's stronghold and change the course of interstellar history. The team burst through the final set of reinforced doors, finding themselves in the heart of the High Council's command center. Massive screens lined the walls, displaying tactical data and propaganda feeds. At the center stood Admiral Xyocks, his face contorted with rage. "You!" he snarled, reaching for his weapon. Lawrence was faster. He tackled the Admiral, sending them both crashing to the ground. As they grappled, Ava and Colonel Hayes sprinted to the main control console. "Zara, now!" Lawrence shouted. The Novarite emerged from her hiding place, her antennae glowing as she interfaced with the Maearian systems. Her unique abilities, combined with Ava's expertise, allowed them to bypass the security protocols in seconds. "We're in," Ava announced, her fingers flying over the alien controls. "Broadcasting now." The screens around them flickered, then came to life with a planet-wide broadcast. Lawrence, still restraining Xyocks, looked up to see his own face staring back at him from every display. "People of Maearia," he began, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "I am Lawrence Chen of Earth. You've been lied to. The war you've been fighting was built on deception. Your High Council has manipulated you, hiding the truth about other species and fabricating threats to maintain their power." As Lawrence spoke, Ava and Zara worked to release classified documents, revealing the extent of the High Council's duplicity. Images of peaceful first contact between humans and Novarites flashed across the screens, along with evidence of the Council's warmongering. Xyocks struggled beneath Lawrence, his eyes wide with disbelief as he watched his world crumble around him. "You don't understand," he gasped. "We did it to protect our people." Lawrence met his gaze. "There are better ways to protect your people than through endless war, Admiral. It's time for a new path." As the broadcast continued, reports began flooding in from across the planet. Maearians were taking to the streets, demanding answers from their leaders. The carefully constructed facade of the High Council was collapsing. Suddenly, the doors to the command center burst open. A group of Maearians rushed in, led by Krell. "We heard your message," he said, his eyes shining with hope. "We're here to help." Lawrence nodded, relief washing over him. He turned back to Xyocks, who had gone limp beneath him. "It's over, Admiral. Your people deserve the truth." As Krell and his supporters secured the command center, Lawrence helped Xyocks to his feet. The once proud Admiral seemed to have aged years in mere minutes. "What happens now?" Xyocks asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lawrence looked around at his team, human, Maearian, and Novarite alike. "Now," he said, "we build something new, together." Over the next few days, the Maearian capital became a whirlwind of activity. The High Council's authority crumbled as more citizens rallied behind Krell's faction, demanding an end to the war and a new era of cooperation with other species. Lawrence, recognizing the fragility of the situation, proposed the formation of an interim government. "We need to maintain order and open dialogue between all factions," he explained during a tense meeting with Krell and other moderate Maearian leaders. Krell, with his scientific background and moderate views, was chosen to lead the temporary administration. Lawrence, Ava, and Colonel Hayes found themselves thrust into advisory roles, representing Earth's interests while providing insights into human-alien cooperation. As negotiations progressed, Lawrence and Ava worked tirelessly to ensure that the new Maearian government would be open to peaceful relations with Earth and the Novarites. They leveraged their unique experiences, using the success of their diverse team as a living example of interspecies cooperation. During a rare quiet moment, Lawrence and Ava found themselves alone in a secluded garden within the government complex. The bioluminescent flora cast a soft glow over Ava's features as she turned to face him. "Do you think this will really work?" she asked, her voice tinged with both hope and uncertainty. Lawrence reached out, intertwining his fingers with hers. "It has to," he replied softly. "We've come too far to fail now." Their lips met in a gentle kiss, the physical connection between them growing stronger as they shared this moment of intimacy amidst the political storm. Meanwhile, Zara and the other Novarites emerged from their hiding places within the shuttle, revealing themselves to the Maeran public. Their unique abilities and peaceful demeanor captivated many Maearians, who began to see the potential for mutually beneficial relationships with other species. Zara quickly became an unofficial ambassador for her people, working alongside Lawrence and Ava to secure a place for the Novarites in the emerging galactic community. Her gentle wisdom and alien perspective provided valuable insights during the negotiations. As the days passed, an unexpected ally emerged. Admiral Xyocks, still reeling from his defeat and Lawrence's act of mercy, approached Lawrence privately. "I've been wrong," Xyocks admitted, his posture deflated. "I see now that our path of aggression was misguided. I want to help make things right." Lawrence studied the Admiral's face, searching for any sign of deception. Finding none, he nodded. "What did you have in mind?" Xyocks provided vital intelligence about hidden Maearian military installations and secret weapons programs. This information proved crucial in dismantling the remaining hardline factions within the Maearian military, further stabilizing the political situation. As news of the events on the Maearian homeworld reached Earth and Mars, human leaders scrambled to respond. Lawrence used the communication systems in the Central Command Center to establish contact with Earth's governments, briefing them on the situation and advising a cautious but open approach to the new Maearian regime. The human leaders, seeing an opportunity to end the conflict and gain powerful allies, agreed to send a diplomatic delegation to the Maearian homeworld. Lawrence and his team threw themselves into preparations, working to ensure a smooth first contact between human diplomats and the new Maearian government. However, their efforts were interrupted by a sudden crisis. A group of hardline Maearian military officers, unwilling to accept the changes sweeping their world, launched a desperate coup attempt to restore the old regime. Alarms blared throughout the capital as the insurgents struck key government buildings. Lawrence, Ava, and Zara found themselves fighting alongside loyal Maearian forces to defend the interim government. The battle raged through the streets of the capital, testing the strength of their newly formed alliances. Humans, Maearians, and Novarites fought side by side, their diverse abilities complementing each other in ways that would have been unimaginable just weeks before. As the fighting intensified, Lawrence found himself pinned down with a group of Maearian civilians, enemy fire keeping them trapped in a partially collapsed building. He looked around at the scared faces surrounding him, realizing that the future of interstellar relations could hinge on this very moment. "Stay calm," he reassured them, his voice steady despite the chaos. "We're going to get through this together." With quick thinking and coordinated efforts, Lawrence led the group to safety, showcasing the potential of human Maearian cooperation in the face of adversity. As they emerged from the building, they were met by a mixed force of humans, Maearians, and Novarites, all working in unison to repel the insurgents. The coup attempt was ultimately thwarted, but not without cost. The experience served to solidify the bonds between the different species, demonstrating the need for continued cooperation in the face of lingering threats. As the dust settled, Lawrence stood atop a hill overlooking the Maearian capital. The city bore the scars of recent conflict, but there was an undeniable sense of hope in the air. He felt Ava's presence beside him, her hand slipping into his. "We did it," she said softly, her eyes reflecting the city lights. Lawrence nodded, squeezing her hand gently. "We've made a start," he replied, "but there's still so much to do." As if on cue, a communication device at Lawrence's belt chirped. "The human diplomatic ships have entered orbit," a voice announced. "They're requesting permission to land." Lawrence and Ava shared a look, both understanding the magnitude of what was to come. The arrival of the human delegation would mark the beginning of a new chapter in their adventure and in the history of interspecies relations. As they turned to head back to the city, Lawrence paused for a moment, taking in the scene before him. The once aggressive Maeran Empire was now on the path to becoming a valuable ally to Earth and a protector of the Novarites. The galaxy was changing, and he was at the center of it all. With a deep breath, Lawrence stepped forward, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead in this new era of galactic cooperation. Cooperation. The galaxy was changing, and he was at the center of it all. With a deep breath, Lawrence stepped forward, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead in this new era of galactic diplomacy. He turned to Ava and Zara, who stood beside him, their faces a mixture of anticipation and dedication. "It's time," he said softly. "Let's go welcome our guests." The trio made their way to the Grand Hall of the former High Council, now repurposed as a neutral ground for the historic meeting. The cavernous space buzzed with activity as Maeran officials, human representatives, and Novarite delegates prepared for the arrival of the Earth diplomatic delegation. Lawrence's heart raced as he heard the distinctive whine of shuttle engines approaching. He exchanged a glance with Ava, her hand finding his and squeezing gently. The massive doors swung open, revealing a procession of human diplomats in crisp uniforms. As the Earth representatives filed into the hall, Lawrence's eyes locked onto a familiar face. General Hartwell, his former commanding officer, strode in with the confidence of a seasoned military leader. The general's eyes scanned the room, widening in disbelief as they landed on Lawrence. Lawrence stepped forward, his voice steady as he addressed the assembly. "Welcome to Maeran," he began, noting the mix of curiosity and wariness on the faces before him. "I am Lawrence Chen, formerly of Earth Space Forces. What you see before you today is the result of an incredible journey, one that has brought 3 distinct species together in the pursuit of peace and understanding." He recounted his story, from his exile on Xyocks to the pivotal role he played in forging this unprecedented alliance. As he spoke, Lawrence could see the expressions of the human delegates shift from skepticism to fascination. Ava took the floor next, her presence commanding attention. "I am Ava, once a soldier of the Maeran Empire, now a partner in peace," she declared, her voice clear and strong. "My relationship with Lawrence began as captor and prisoner, but it evolved into something far more profound. Our bond transcended the barriers between our species and played a crucial role in bringing about this moment." She detailed their shared experiences, the challenges they overcame, and the trust they built. Lawrence noticed several human delegates leaning in, captivated by their story. Zara stepped forward, her antennae glowing softly. "Greetings, representatives of Earth," she said, her melodious voice carrying easily through the hall. "I am Zara of the Novarite people. We offer our unique abilities and perspectives to this new galactic community." With a graceful gesture, Zara demonstrated the Novarite's energy manipulation capabilities. Gasps of awe echoed through the chamber as she created intricate patterns of light and color in the air above their heads. As the formal introductions concluded, the negotiations began in earnest. Lawrence, Ava, and Zara found themselves at the center of discussions, bridging cultural gaps and addressing concerns from all sides. They drew upon their personal experiences to find compromises and build consensus on issues ranging from resource sharing to technological exchange. The atmosphere grew tense as the topic of Maeran's former aggressive expansion policy arose. Lawrence could see the human delegates exchanging worried glances, their body language betraying their unease. Krell, sensing the growing tension, stood up. "We understand your concerns," he said, his voice calm but firm. "As a gesture of our commitment to peace, I propose a joint human Maeran Novarite mission to transform our former military outposts into scientific research stations. These facilities will be dedicated to solving challenges that face all our species." Lawrence immediately recognized the potential of this idea. He leaned forward, building on Krell's proposal. "This initiative could serve as the cornerstone of a comprehensive peace treaty," he suggested. "It would demonstrate our ability to work together and our shared commitment to progress." The human delegates huddled together, discussing the proposal in hushed tones. General Hartwell, who had remained silent until now, spoke up. "This is an intriguing proposition," he said, his eyes meeting Lawrence's. "But how can we be certain of the Mazarian's sincerity?" Before Lawrence could respond, a voice rang out from the back of the hall. "Allow me to prove it," said Admiral Zortak, stepping forward. The room fell silent as the former military leader addressed the assembly. "I request permission to lead the first joint mission to convert a military outpost. Let my actions demonstrate our commitment to this new path." Lawrence watched as surprise rippled through the gathering. He could see the human delegates weighing Zortak's offer, the potential risks and rewards playing across their faces. As the negotiations continued late into the night, Lawrence found himself marveling at how far they had come. The once impossible dream of peace between their species was slowly but surely taking shape before his eyes.
If you finished this story, please subscribe and like the video. Then leave a comment that says, "I liked the story," and I will heart every single one of them. It really helps me. Thank you for your time.